Listen.
Mr. There's no sound.
Just 1 minute. Okay, now again, as we said before, here today we are going to continue with uh, the reading passage. Listen, please.
Page 12. 9. Reading.
From smoke signals to email, keeping in touch. From the Stone Age to the present, people have shown a desire to send messages to one another over long distances. In ancient times, according to one story, a chain of fires on mountaintops was used to relate the news of the fall of Troy to the people in Greece. In the past, native people in the Americas used smoke from fires to transmit messages. They developed a code in which certain combinations of smoke rising had special meanings. For example, 2 parallel columns of smoke indicated the successful return of a war party.
The ancient Greeks established lines of signal towers at mountaintops. At each one, a large fire was lit to transmit a signal to the next tower, and in this way, information was passed on through the land. Also, almost anything that makes a noise has been used for signaling. A kind of drum talk is still used in Central Africa today, although few who are not natives have been able to understand it. The sender uses a drum that can produce a high or low tone. Because the local dialect alternates in these tones, the sender is able to simulate speech with the drums.
In modern times, people have communicated by letter, telegraph, and telephone. But no one method has become as widespread as quickly as the use of email. The first email message took place in 1971. According to its sender, Ray Tomlinson, it was probably the following: QWERTYUIOP. What was significant about that? Nothing really. This is just the top row of keys on an English language keyboard. Tomlinson was just testing out the system and using a nonsense message. He had no concept that he was going to start a revolution in communication. Tomlinson was one of a group of scientists who were working on developing better computers. Scientists at his site were able to send a message to a mailbox on the computer on their site. Other scientists could view the message in the mailbox. But there were other computers at other sites where scientists were working on the same project. Tomlinson's idea was to figure out a way to deliver messages to mailboxes on those remote computers. He used the @ sign to identify messages that were headed out of the local machine to the more distant ones. That was the start of the emailing system that we still use today. At first, the number of people on email was small, but by the end of the 20th century, there were 263 million email boxes. In the 21st century, that figure has grown to over 2 billion, and the functions of email services in the future will become more and more diversified. And text messaging on cell phones is also increasing, so people can, in effect, be in constant touch with people who are long distances away.
Okay. Now, let's move to the paragraphs. Yesterday, I think we read the first and the third, the second. We will continue with the third paragraph. Listen. This is, the third, the second. One minute, please. Listen.
In modern times, people have communicated by letter, telegraph, and telephone. But no one method has become as widespread as quickly as the use of email. The first email message took place in 1971. According to its sender, Ray Tomlinson, it was probably the following: QWERTYUIOP. What was significant about that? Nothing really. This is just the top row of keys on an English language keyboard. Tomlinson was just testing out the system and using a nonsense message. He had no concept that he was going to start a revolution in communication.
Okay. Now look at the first question. Who can read the first question? Diya.
Yes. How
Read.
have people communicated in modern times? They have
Yes.
communicated by letter, telegraph, and telephone.
Good. They, use letters, telegraphs, and telephone. So this is the first answer. In modern times, people have communicated by letter, telegraph, and telephone. Question number 2, Adnan, read.
Yes. When did the first email take place? The first email message took place in 1971.
Good. This is, the second answer. The third question. Who
Can I
can
say?
read? Anwar, yes.
Okay. Who was the sender of the first email?
Mhm.
Ray Tomlinson.
Good. Ray Tomlinson, yes. This is the answer. Question number 4.
Can I?
Let me choose Ahmed Al-Hurani. Are you here? Ahmed Al-Hurani.
Yes, Mr.
Please read, the fourth question.
I can't say, Mr. You. Yes.
I think what is meant by
What
this?
is meant by this letter? QWERTYU.
etc.
Yes.
I think that doesn't mean anything.
Yes.
When yes, look here. This is what? Just the top row of keys on an English language keyboard. Just, he sent these letters just for testing. Good. The last. What is, yes, Adnan.
To show that communication was about to start, that
Good.
Tomlinson was about to start a
The main
revolution.
idea, thank you. The main idea of this paragraph is showing us, the modern times communications, Good. Letters, telegraph, telephones, and, the first email. Now, who can read the paragraph?
Can I?
Hamza Sabbagh, are you here? Hamza? Adnan.
Okay. In modern times, people have communicated by letters, telegraphs, and telephone. But no one method has become as widespread as quickly as the use of email. The first email message took place in 1971, and according to its sender, Ray Tomlinson, it was probably the following: QWERTYUIOP. What was significant about that? Nothing really. This is just the top row of keys of an English language keyboard. Tomlinson was just testing out the system and using a nonsense message. He had no concept that he was going to start a revolution in communication.
Good, thank you. Now let's move to the next paragraph, paragraph number 4. Listen, if there is no audio, just tell me.
Tomlinson was one of a group of scientists who were working on developing better computers.
Yes,
The site were able to send a message to a mailbox on the computer on their site. Other scientists could view the message in the mailbox. But there were other computers at other sites where scientists were working on the same project. Tomlinson's idea was to figure out a way to deliver messages to mailboxes on those remote computers. He used the @ sign to identify messages that were headed out of the local machine to the more distant ones. That was the start of the emailing system that we still use today.
Okay. Now look at, the first question. Who can answer?
Can I?
Let me choose Ali Ghaidan. Are you here? Ali?
Yes.
Please read the question.
who was Ray Tomlinson?
Tomlinson. Who was Ray, Tomlinson? He was what?
Was one of a group of scientists.
Good. He was one of a group of scientists who were working on developing better computers. Good, thank you. The second question, who can read?
Can I?
Let me choose Asaf. Are you here, Asaf?
Yes, Mr.
Please read the second question.
What were the scientists able to do?
Good. What were the scientists able to do? Look at the second line. They were
Scientists at his sites were able to send a message to a mailbox
good.
on
They
the
were
computer
able
on their sites.
They were able to send a message to a mailbox on the computer on their site. Number 3. Let me choose Ibrahim al-Mansour. Are you here?
Can I start?
Ibrahim al-Mansour. Are you here, Ibrahim? Abdullah?
Can I read 4?
Yeah, Abdullah, read number 3. What was Ray Tomlinson's idea?
What was Ray Tomlinson's idea? Were Ray built to send a message to a mailbox on the computer?
His idea, Abdullah,
was to
figure out a way to deliver messages to mailboxes on those, remote computers. Good.
Computer.
Good. This is, the answer. Number 4, who can read?
Can I solve?
Yes, Yalla Anwar.
Okay. Can I see the question?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, why did Tomlinson use the @ sign? He used the...
Yes.
He used it to identify messages that were headed out of the local machine.
Good.
To more
Good. Thank you very much. He used, this sign just to identify messages that were headed out of the local machine to the more distant ones. The main idea is starting of the email, in other words, systems, or Tomlinson's story. Move to the last paragraph. Listen. If there is no audio, just tell me. Listen.
At first, the number of people on email was small, but by the end of the 20th century, there were 263 million email boxes. In the 21st century, that figure has grown to over 2 billion, and the functions of email services in the future will become more and more diversified. And text messaging on cell phones is also increasing, so people can, in effect, be in constant touch with people who are long distances away.
Okay. Who can answer the first question? Who can answer the first question?
Can I?
Yes.
I can the question.
Yes. Yes, Malik, yes.
163 million.
Good. Read the question, please. How was the number of people?
How was the number of people of email at the end of the 20 country?
Good. Yes. There were 263 million email boxes. Good. How was the number of people on email at the end of the 20th century? 3 million email boxes. The second question? Look. Who can read the second question? Let me choose Ahmed Al-Hurani. Ahmed Al-Hurani.
Yes, Mr.
Yes.
Has the number of people in email grown in the 21st century, and how many? Yes.
Good. Yes.
To over 2 billion.
Over 2 billion email boxes. Good. The answer is here. In the 21st century, that figure has grown to over 2 billion, email boxes. Good. Who can read the third question? Let me choose.
Can I?
Hamza. Ubada.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, Hamza.
Yes,
Read
sir.
yes, read the third question, Hamza.
How will the functions of email service become in the future?
Yes, look at the answer. It is
Uh,
here, the second
it
line.
will
The
become
functions
more
of
and more diversified.
but they will have become more and more diversified, various means different. Good. The last
Can I
question.
answer?
Yes.
Here it is talking about the rise of the use of email.
Good. What is, the main idea of this paragraph? It talks about, the email system or increasing number of email users. Good. Who wants to read the paragraph? Let
Can
me
I?
choose. Let me choose.
No?
Khalid Bilal, are you here? Ali Sharman. Yes, Ali. Read
Yes,
the last paragraph. Read the last paragraph, please.
yes. From at first,
At first, look at your screen, the last paragraph in your book on page 12.
oh, the book. Okay. Just a second.
Yes. Okay. Let's go to.
Yes, Mr. West. I
Yes.
just opened the book.
At
From
first.
at first, the number of people in email was small, but by the end of the 20th century, there were 263 million email boxes. In the 21st century, that figure has grown to over 2 billion. And the functions of email services in the future will become more and more diversified. And text messaging on cell phones is also increasing. So people can, in effect, be in constant touch with people who are long distances away.
Good, thank you. Now, move to the vocabulary here. We have flashcards. What do the following words mean? Look here. The first one. I think we did, this exercise yesterday. Just here we revise you with the parallel. What does it mean, parallel? Look.
Can I answer?
Yes, read it. Extending.
Extending in the same direction.
Good. Dialect. Malik.
Peter.
Read. Yes. Read it. Variety of language spoken.
Variety of language spoken by people in the
Geographical area. Good.
growing area.
Area. Now, Dia, simulate. Look.
Okay. Simulate. Assume the likeness of.
Good. Next. Let me choose Ahmed Al-Hurani. Nonsense.
Yes, Mr.
Yes, nonsense. What does it mean, nonsense? Without meaning. Look
Without
at your
meaning.
screen. Yes.
No, it
Next.
took time to appear.
Okay. Let me choose. Are you here, Muhammad Abdul Rahim? Widespread. What does it mean, widespread? Muhammad Shmesi.
Yes.
What does it mean? Widespread. Over a large area. Widespread.
Drum.
Not a drum. Widespread. Over a large area.
والله ما فهمت استاذ معليش.
Okay, don't worry. Just
تفهمني.
pay attention. We need the meaning of widespread. It is over a large area. Just you want to read over a large area.
Can I
Okay.
start the next?
Okay, yeah.
Oh. Revolution means big change.
Good, big change. Sites, what does it mean, sites?
Can I answer?
We need Yamin. Are you here, Yamin? Hamza al-Bakar?
Yes,
Hamza.
أنا موجود حمزة بكار.
Yes, sites, what does it mean, sites? Read.
Sites.
Location. Good. The last one, the drum. Drum
Can I
is
read?
what? Yes, read. A musical instrument.
A musical instrument made of skin stretched over a circular frame, played by hitting it with a hand or a stick.
Good, thank you. Okay, so these are the words which we studied yesterday. Now look at your box on page 13. Before, doing the exercise, look at the history of communication. It started with, smoke, then using drums, making sounds, loud sounds. After that, letters. After the letters, we have telegraph. Then the telephones, using telephones. And, finally, we have what? Emails. This is, the history of communication. Okay. Look at your books on page 13. We are going to continue. Complete the following sentences about the reading. Number 1, who can try?
Can I?
Yalla, Adnan.
People have shown a need to communicate with one another since ancient times.
Good. Since, ancient times or, the Stone Age. Good. Ancient times. Very good. Or the Stone Age. Number 2, who can try? Diya.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
When Native Americans saw 2 columns of smoke, they knew that a war party was returning and that it was successful.
Good. When Native Americans saw the 2 columns of smoke, it means that a war party was returning and it was successful. Good, thank you. Number 3. Yes, Anwar.
Oh, okay. Although drums are used in Central Africa to communicate messages, only a few non-natives understood it.
Good. Can understand the drum language. Thank you. Number 4. Who can try?
teacher.
Nurdin. Yalla, Nurdin.
Okay.
Nurdin.
Number 4.
Yes, number 4. It is
When
done.
Tomlinson sent his first message, he wasn't thinking of starting a revolution in communication.
Thank you very much. Although email, only began in 1970s. Sorry, when Tomlinson sent his first message, he wasn't thinking of starting a revolution in communication. Number 5, who can do it? Let me choose Malik again. Malik. Number 5, although email.
Yes, teacher.
Number 5, please read it.
Number 5. Although email online only bung on the
began. Yes, began.
Although email only bang in the 1970 by the end of the 20 country. There were
260 million.
263 million email box.
Good. The last. Who can read the last? Diya.
Okay. Nowadays, millions of people are used to being in constant touch with people who are long distances away.
Good. So this is about, after reading, complete the following sentences about the reading. Just you can take a screenshot and doing, writing the sentences later. Okay. Now here we have a discussion. Think about how you communicate with different people. Working groups. Make notes in the chart below. Use your notes to talk about communication in class. Which are the most common and most effective ways and why? just here we are going to fill, the charts. How can we communicate with our friends or our relatives, with other people who live far away? How can you communicate with your friends?
Can I answer?
Yes, Adnan. We have many different answers, okay?
Yes. We can talk to them face to face, send emails, text messages.
Good, very good. Thank you. Here we just choose messages, face to face, telephones, WhatsApp, etc. Now, what about the advantages? Also, we have a lot of advantages. Read when you are free. Disadvantages, maybe emotions are not clear using what? The messages. Now, how can you communicate with your relatives? I think the same. Anwar?
Yes.
How can you communicate with your relatives?
With messages, text messages.
Good. Good telephones, emails, letters. Good. Advantages, maybe hear their voices, talk with them, have fun with them.
Disadvantages, مثلا the internet can be
Yes,
slow.
maybe disadvantages, if you call someone, maybe it will be busy, the telephone will be busy. If you choose what telephone. Sometimes if you choose, for example, emails, one of the advantages is the internet, the problems of the internet. With other people who live far away, also we use telephones, emails, okay? Advantages, make sure they deliver it and you know that he will, receive it directly. Advantages, we have, net problems. Okay, I think that's enough for today. Okay.